So if you're asking me what I believe to be the game of the week in week 7 of college football, in my opinion, that's a fairly easy answer to give. And that's not even to say I think there's going to be a shortage of great college football games, because I don't think that's the case. However, when I look, Alabama versus Tennessee provides just about everything you could want. Two teams that are undefeated, two teams in the top 10, in a game that features historic rivalry implications. This is going to be a game I think college football fans need to be aware of. Today, we need to ask the question, can Tennessee upset the Alabama Crimson Tide? And before we can go about answering this question, I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe Tennessee could upset Alabama this weekend? And let me know what you're expecting out of the game. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification, as I'm on a push to 15,000 subscribers. We have assembled an unbelievable community here, and I would love to have you a part of it. And if you enjoyed this, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions are massive. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. To kind of answer the question I posed in the intro, could Tennessee upset Alabama? The answer to that is yes. Look, one thing we need to understand and realize whenever we're talking about Tennessee, first and foremost, what a great job Heupel has done with the Volunteers in such a short time. I think they are one of the more impressive teams in the country when you look at how quickly they've come relative to where they were. It has been very impressive, and I think that college football needs to take note of what's happening in Knoxville. But even outside of that, if we just look at Tennessee this year, what an offense. And it starts with Hendon Hooker, who's getting legitimate Heisman hype for good reason. Hendon Hooker has been sensational through the early portions of this season, and I don't see any indication that it's going to slow down, but that's one of the reasons this is such a big game. You're talking about one of the premier offenses, the number one offense in all of college football, and one of the best quarterbacks in the nation taking on a top 10 defense, the best defense Tennessee will have seen to this point. Because before this, the best two defenses Tennessee has seen has been LSU and Pittsburgh. LSU ranks as the number 29 total defense in the nation. Alabama sits as number 7, and before this past weekend, they were a top 5 defense. It's kind of hard to maintain that with turning the ball over so many times, putting A&M in advantageous positions. Point being, Alabama has got a stingy, stout defense. And personally, I think that's so compelling. Whenever you look at a matchup and one team has got a top offense, the other team has got a top defense, you are just asking for fireworks and great matchups. I can't wait. So Tennessee could upset Alabama. They absolutely have the playmakers to do so. They have the offense to do so. They're playing Alabama at home. And maybe the most pressing issue of all of this is Bryce Young's status is up in the air. Bryce Young, if he's in, unlocks something entirely different for this Alabama offense. His ability allows them to be so multiple, allows them to do so many different things. And without him, Alabama's going to have an exponentially more difficult time taking on this Tennessee team, especially in Tennessee. So the answer to could they is yes. Will they is an entirely different question, and one we're going to have to wait and see, but we need to talk about these matchups where I think each team could have an advantage. First and foremost, we need to talk about the unknown very briefly, and that's the status of Bryce Young. Because if Bryce Young plays in this game, you have to like Alabama's chances exponentially more than if he doesn't, because of what all he allows this offense to do. And understand something. This Alabama offense, even when Bryce Young was there, was still trying to figure themselves out. Unfortunately, it was right when it looked like they were starting to find their groove, starting to find their rhythm, that Bryce Young goes down with injury. So if Bryce Young does come back, Alabama's offense is going to try and look to pick up where they left off right when he went down, when everything was starting to come together. Luckily, they've gotten some guys back from injury, such as a JoJo Earl, who had a really good offseason. Hopefully that continues into the season. So Alabama's offense is an offense that ranks as a top 10 offense. Alabama's defense is a top 10 defense. But Tennessee has the number 1 offense in the nation, so I really can't wait to see how this Alabama front is going to go about trying to slow down Hendon Hooker. Because Hendon Hooker is deadly in the passing game, but he's also deadly when he utilizes his run. And we've seen more and more Alabama implement this cheetah package that features Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, and Will Anderson. That's going to be something I'm really interested to see if we see this weekend, but also we need to talk about Alabama's secondary, because Tennessee does not have a shortage of wide receiver weapons. They have got several different names that you have got to be aware of. In fact, if we look at this, Brew McCoy has been on a tear the past few weeks. Against LSU, he had a monster game, and it's going to be interesting to see how he continues to grow within this Tennessee offense. Inevitably, Alabama's defense has been playing really good football, and this is going to be a matchup that, in my opinion, provides fireworks at every single level. because Alabama's secondary is going to be tested. They're going to try and slow down the wide receivers for Tennessee, and they've been very good. Alabama's linebackers are going to have to remain disciplined because of the dual threat nature Hendon Hooker brings to the table. You've got to make sure you stay disciplined, stay on your assignment, so that way no busts occur. And the defensive front has been playing such high-quality football. Quite frankly, I'm just excited to see that continue against the #1 offense in the nation. But now let's flip the script, because the one area Alabama's offense has been consistent and has been surging is the rushing attack, and especially after the past few weekends where we've seen Jahmyr Gibbs really start coming alive in this Alabama offense. The one thing Tennessee's defense does very well is their rush defense. That's actually the strength of Tennessee's defense, which kind of plays into the strength of Alabama's offense, which is why I say Bryce Young coming back in this game would be huge for the Crimson Tide. Because as much as we talked about how porous Arkansas's secondary was and how porous Arkansas's defense was against the pass, Tennessee's passing defense ranks as the number 128 out of 131 in all of college football. So this is a passing defense that's going to give you opportunities, which is why I say if Bryce Young is back, you like your chances exponentially better. And let's say Bryce Young isn't back. What's Alabama's path to victory? Well, first and foremost, they've got to formulate a game plan that Jalen Milroe is going to be able to run and run comfortably. Last weekend against Texas A&M, we saw what looked like Milroe being a little bit nervous, and Nick Saban even alluded to as much. But if you're Bill O'Brien, if you're this coaching staff, you've got to find a game plan that Jalen Milroe is comfortable running and that he excels running, because he is tremendously athletic, and we even saw when things started to get in rhythm for Milroe, the offense was able to move. It was all about the inconsistencies. And right whenever rhythm was being found, a turnover would happen, and those turnovers proved to be tremendously costly. Something that if you are Jalen Milroe and you are playing this Tennessee team, there's no way you can afford that. Because Texas A&M hadn't had any semblance of a consistent offense all season, and then they came into that game without one of their leading playmakers in Anaya Smith and their quarterback that had provided them some sort of spark to their offense. They didn't have any of that, and Alabama still turned the ball over, putting themselves in precarious positions. Against Tennessee, Tennessee's got the ability to capitalize on that. Tennessee has the #1 offense in the nation. You cannot turn the ball over on this Tennessee offense in their home stadium and expect to come out with the victory the same you did against Texas A&M. This offense just isn't going to give you those opportunities, the Tennessee Volunteers offense, that is. But if Bryce Young is able to come back, Alabama's chances of winning this game increase exponentially because of what he provides in the passing game and because of how porous Tennessee's defense has been in that area. If Alabama is able to start passing the ball with consistency, watch out. Because this rushing attack the Crimson Tide fields is dangerous, but inevitably they've got to figure out a way to slow down this Tennessee offense because it's one that's been dangerous, high-powered, and very efficient. I can't wait for this game. I think that it's going to have all that you could want. Look, Tennessee hasn't beat Alabama since 2006, so you want to talk about a hungry team? This is going to be a hungry Tennessee Volunteers team because they realize what's in front of them. They realize the opportunity Alabama presents. Alabama is so many teams Super Bowl, and even when you hear about Tennessee, they've talked about this. Some of the players for the Volunteers have said, look, we realize the opportunity that's in front of us. We realize what a big game this is. We realize the challenge. I can't wait to see how everything plays out. I think this game is going to be awesome. But really, I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about this game. That's it. See ya.